Welcome back, everyone, to Thursday Freaky Tales. The reason why we're having it on Thursday, somebody asked, is because I have an event to attend to Friday night and Saturday night, and my week is hectic. But before I introduce, once again, my returning guest to my other podcast, I want to thank everybody on the live chat, everybody who's commented, everybody who subscribed, everybody who is a part of the show. Later on, we will open it for you guys to make calls and ask us questions about the movies that we're actually going to be discussing. I wanted to do a horror movie edition, and who better else than to do it with the one and only Afro.
What's going down? Tony, how are you, brother?
I'm good, brother. You know, last time you were here, well, the first time you were here, I had such a great time watching watching that little part where me and you were discussing movies. Okay. I must have watched it maybe like 10 times, and I just said, we got to do something with movies, okay? So one thing about me, growing up, 80s, 90s, even in the 70s, from driving theaters to AMC to Man 9 to all of these theaters, I've always been a movie guy, okay? I was a teenager. I was about 19 years old or 18 when I opened up my first video store in the 80s. So my second job ever was working at a place called Pacific Video in Long Beach. I would take the bus, set up all the VHS movies, run the register, stay there like from, I don't know, sometimes like 9 to 9. I worked crazy hours, but I learned. So that's when I said, I know where they buy the movies. I know how to run the register. I know how to do the alarm. Let me go ahead and open up mine. And me, my mother, my brother, we opened up a video store, and it was successful. But you know what? One thing that I want to do right now is I want to give you something. I got some gifts for you, okay? Because you can't go to the movies and go empty-handed. You got to buy something or sometimes sneak something in.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Either way, yeah.
So
I've done both.
Since we're going to pretend we're at the movies, you can't be at the movies without popcorn. So I got you some Oral Rettenbacher's movie butter popcorn.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother.
For you.
I appreciate it, bro.
So now when you're at home chilling, just pop them, okay? Then I was a fan of these. I haven't had it in a long time, but every once in a while they have these at the movie. So Milk Duds.
All right.
So now you can enjoy those also when you watch your movies.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You got it. These are my favorite at the movies. Raisinets. So you gotta enjoy some Raisinets as well.
Thank you, brother.
And last but not least, everybody has to buy these red vines, like licorice.
Classics.
Okay, so these are for you.
Classics.
Enjoy.
Thank you, brother.
So now you got you can put it all in the bag, and now you got your movie theater starter pack. So
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
So since the last time you were here, how have you been? I know you've been working a lot. I know as far as music is concerned, and I think you even have some shows coming up, if I'm correct.
Yeah. I got there's a lot of things I've been developing for the past couple of months, and some of them I've been teeter-tottering here and there, but I'm working on this EP, or a shorter release, more of a shorter release, just to hold the fans over while I keep going for the debut album, because the debut album's finished. Just some things I got to work out the kinks with the label. Everything's good. It's just that side, get the business ready. And while we're handling that, I want to give the fans a little something just to hold over. Okay. So I'm going to call it Aphrodisiac.
Dope.
Yeah, and I'm going to give them a little something. And it's mostly produced by me, but other than that, got a couple shows. I got Rhyme Fest on April 15th. I got a Fullerton show, I believe, in March 11th. So I used to live a little bit in Orange County as well, in Fullerton, Anaheim. I went to school in Magnolia and went to junior high and Dell Junior High. So it'll be pretty cool going back to Fullerton and going in Orange County.
So I want to give people a preview of something possibly that, when you have an opportunity, when you have time, we can possibly, do something like this every so often where we discuss movies, especially horror movies. And one of the ones that I saw in 1973, keep in mind, I had no business being at the drive-in watching this movie when I was born in 1968. So I was pretty much 5 years old when my parents took us in the station wagon to the swap meet to go watch The Exorcist. Okay.
You were 5 when you saw The Exorcist?
I was 5 when I saw and I'll be honest with you.
It's insane.
To me, my opinion, I guess because I like to say it's 25 to 50 years ahead of its time. Okay. When I saw it, it just scared the living hell out of me. And
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
When my son sees it, he's like, oh, that is not that scary. I go, mijo, you have to understand that when that came out, there was nothing out there like it. So are you familiar with The Exorcist, and what are your thoughts, the 1973 original?
No, absolutely. Directed by William Friedkin, starring Linda Blair. And I think Linda Blair even got nominated for that performance. The Exorcist, the performances are great all around. Even Ellen Burstyn, everybody does a great job with the acting. It's shot very well. It's a well-made film, very creepy as well. And that one was one that always freaked me out, and that was one I've seen maybe 2 or 3 times in my whole life, and because sometimes I stay away from it a little bit because it's so freaky, and sometimes it peeves me, it creeps me out a little bit. You got the crazy scenes like where she's stabbing herself with the crucifix and shit like that, and like there's some insane scenes in that movie. But on bottom line, it is a very well made film. It is.
Let's look at some of the dialogue of that movie. For an example, if you're a director or a writer, it's hard for me to envision this. Okay, Linda, here's the cross. Keep in mind, I think she's only 13 years old.
Oh, yeah. Insane. It's an insane movie.
Here's the cross. While you're stabbing yourself, I want you to say, fuck me. Okay? Action. Fuck. Like,
crazy.
It's crazy to even think that you could be there and watching some shit like that, and you're thinking, we're going to put this in the movies?
Yeah. And the one thing you said that I do 100% agree with is that in 1973 there was nothing like that. Like, that's insane. Like a movie like The Exorcist that was like super graphic like that. Like, it's a possession movie, and I'm sure there were possession movies before that, but for it to take it to that degree,
yes.
to cast like a 13-year-old, to cast and to put her, the character, the Megan character in Reagan character in situations like that, it's fun. It's even to this day, you are right where it is ahead of its time because it still creeps you out. Like when you sit down and you break it down, even on a psychological side or even on a possession side or what direction it takes, it's still a fucking super creepy movie.
Yes. Have you ever met a girl or anybody named Reagan other than Ronald Reagan?
No, I have not. No.
That's a crazy name.
Yeah, no. I would run the opposite way if I did. She said, my name's Reagan. I'm like, oh, well, that's nice to see you.
This is one thing I asked another movie buff. I asked him, where do you think, what opened the door? Like, what do you think the director was trying to show us? Like, at what point in the movie did she get possessed, and why did she get possessed? Like, why her? Did you ever catch that in the movie?
That's a good question. Like that's why I always like to give movies rewatches, because there's always going to be one little detail or something that I missed.
Yes.
And with The Exorcist, I was more freaked out by the imagery and what the fuck was going on.
Yes.
Like especially at a younger age, because first time I saw Exorcist might have been around 12. So I was like 12 watching that, and I was already like, yo, this is the freakiest shit ever. So I never really paid attention to why she got possessed or how she got possessed. And I'm sure in the live chat, I'm sure there's people that know, so drop that. But yeah, okay. I gotta.
Here's where I think. Okay, here's where I think. I think she got possessed because they were in the basement early on in the movie, and I think this is what the director was trying to show the audience, where the devil came in. Because if you keep in mind, she wasn't trying to. In the movie, she didn't say, I'm a demon or we are legion. She said, I am the devil. And the priest said, she doesn't claim to be possessed. She's claiming to be the devil himself. So if you recall, in the very beginning, she showed her mom a board game, which happened to be the Ouija board.
Right.
And then she said, let me show you how it works. And then it actually moved. I remember when I saw that as a kid, I was intrigued and I wanted one of those.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, is there really somebody there? You know, and then when I got a little bit older, I read what a Ouija board was. It wasn't for us to supposedly make contact with them. It was for them to make contact with us. That's the difference. So knowing that, I started to think, I wonder if by playing with it, she opened a door, a portal, and it came in. That's the only...
Oh, 100%, 100%.
You know, that's the only thing that I could think of that might have, you know, but... You know, and then so like...
especially when the shit is moving by itself like that. Like,
yes.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
Now let's look at another part of the writing before we move on to another one. The writer writes, your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Insane. Yeah, well, that's another thing is, you know, during the 70s and the 60s, you know, they're sniffing cocaine. You know, these guys are coming up with the most absurd shit in the world.
Right.
So... You know, when that dropped and this dialogue is happening, you know, from Linda and all this type of shit, and, you know, I'm sure people, that adds to the shock. Like, people are in the theaters like, what the fuck is going on, you know?
I think the very first shocking thing that shocked me was when she's yelling and the mom runs up, she opens the door and she looks and she's boom, boom, boom. Like,
right.
That is what scared the hell out of me. So.
And then the famous scene, like, it is, I've seen some people say that it is a cheap scare, but I think it's in the director's cut. I'm not sure if it's in the original cut, but the famous scene where she's walking backwards down the stairs, you know, that shit, like, as a kid, that did freak me out. Like, that image and just how it was done was pretty creepy. So.
Yeah, supposedly that was done back then, but they took it out. They said that it was just too much.
Right.
It was just too much.
Right.
I mean, as it was when the famous head spin. You know, this trick goes, ugh. And he's like, hey, man, I would have gotten the hell out of there, bro. You know, I
wouldn't have been nowhere near that situation. I'd be like,
and then to think of the pea soup that when she threw up on the priest, you know, like, who thought of that, you know? But it was a well-done movie. Once again, The Exorcist, 1973. Anything else you care to add that would you still recommend it today?
You know what? I do think it is a movie that you should at least see once in your life. Like, there's a couple movies I'm blinking right now, but I would put that in that category for, like, with those other movies. Like, it's a rough watch, but check it out just to see what you think or what your thoughts are, and then if you don't like it or if you do like it, you know, that's how I would label Exorcist. Like, check it out at least once and see what you think.
I agree too. I give it a thumbs up. Okay. The next one, we're gonna go by year. 1974, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay.
Man, super classic. Classic.
Yes. Are we putting that up there, you guys? Okay. Now, this is what freaked me out. The first thing of that movie was, if you remember, they're in the van, okay, and they pick that weirdo up that starts to cut himself. That motherfucker is the one that scared me. And the movie really hadn't even started yet, you know?
Right, yeah, that was like way before they even get near the house. Yeah.
You know, but if I'm correct, I think it was based on somewhat of the story of, I think his name is Ed Gein.
Yep, I'm very familiar with Ed Gein. Yeah.
Can you shed a little bit of light?
I think, is that Plainville, Wisconsin?
Texas. It's in...
No, Ed Gein. I think Ed Gein's case was definitely Wisconsin, but I think it was Plainville. So Ed Gein also inspired, I don't want to go off topic with Texas Chainsaw. He also inspired Buffalo Bill with Silence of the Lambs. But with Texas Chainsaw, it was more the inspiration for the skin suit and the way you would, like, cut the faces off and wear them as a face mask and shit like that.
Right.
That was some Ed Gein shit. Ed Gein he was a grave robber. He would he would grab bodies and shit, and and this is really gross, but he would make fucking bowls, like human skulls for, like, bowls of cereal and shit. He would make chairs out of fucking, like, skin and shit. This dude was just like 11 out of 10 psychopath, like a fucking maniac. And and so Texas Chainsaw definitely got a lot of that, like the wearing the skin and the suit and shit was from Ed Gein.
You know, and then when you see that guy, the Texas Chainsaw guy, up close when he's has the mask on, it's a fucking freaky ass
oh yeah
mask, bro. They did that right. it's just hard for me to believe that all that was acting. You know.
Well, that's a cool point, because I always thought Texas Chainsaw, and I was telling you this, Prospect, I always thought Texas Chainsaw, the OG, had like this creepy, grainy documentary feel to it. Like it feels like it feels real, like it gives you that atmosphere and that tension that pulls you in, where it's like, damn, like you're in that shit with them in a way. Like it feels real, you know.
Does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, a lot of that terror, and especially near the end when the family's going crazy and the main chick's going crazy and they're torturing her and shit. That feels very documentary. Yeah,
that's the scene the other scene that freaked me out. Well, before we get to that one, do you remember? I guess they're walking into the house and he comes out and hits them over the fucking head. The girl falls, or the guy, and he starts shaking and shit.
Yeah.
You know, when you watch that as a kid. Keep in mind, this is 1974. Now I'm 6, and I'm watching this. Okay, I guess that's why I love horror movies so much, because I was raised with it, not by choice, but because of my parents. Then when they bring out the grandpa, and they want him to hit her over the head with it, so he could drink her blood. Bro, that's insane, bro. Then the running scene when he's running after her, you know, and then he falls. That guy, I guess, like that trucker throws that.
Oh yeah, the big black trucker homie. Yeah, the homie. Yeah, the homie that saves her at the end. Actually, yeah.
He throws what he throw, like a wrench, or he threw pliers at his ass.
Yeah, and then Leatherface, he topples over and he hits his own fucking leg, like he chops his own leg with his own chainsaw.
Yeah, bro, I was like, oh God, that was gross. That was gross. Imagine eating a large pepperoni pizza with jalapenos from the drive-in theater while watching that movie. Okay, you know, and I'm in the floor, because we had a station wagon. I'm in the floor between my mother's legs like this. And then you have the speaker. That's when you had the speaker. You roll down the window, put the speaker on, then you try to match it with the AM radio station.
Right.
And then my dad and my brother who's watching it is blasting that damn speaker. They have 2 speakers, like this is surround sound in a station wagon. You know. Meanwhile, everybody's over here chewing pizza, eating popcorn, and I'm scared. You know. And
then the speaker's right by you, so you're getting all the sound. And the speaker's right by you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, they did kind of remake it with the original girl who supposedly got away, and the only reason why I'm bringing it up
recently,
the Netflix one.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
Okay, so, and the crazy thing is, the original actress passed away recently, I believe, a few years ago. So they actually had to recast the actress. It's a whole other actress.
Oh, so it's not her.
It's same character, but whole other actress.
Oh,
and
okay.
Because the original actress passed away, so. In my opinion, the Netflix one was a dumpster fire, but I still had a little bit of fun with it, with the kills and stuff. But the creepiness and the scary factor wasn't there for me. Like the whole point of the original Texas Chainsaw was that creepiness and that psychological element to it. All that it makes you feel unsettled. You're like, oh, this is a creepy watch.
Yes.
There's not many of the other Texas Chainsaw movies that I do like. Some of the Texas Chainsaw movies after, but none of them really matched up with that OG feel, like that that documentary, like you're in there with the characters type of feel.
Right.
But the Netflix one, I thought the dialogue was bad. I thought the characters sucked, but I did have fun seeing them get killed.
Yeah. Same thing with me.
Can't lie.
My favorite holiday is Halloween, and that season usually starts in September. So September and October, it's like spooky months for me. Okay, so I saw it, I believe, when it came out around that time. So for me, that's what I had fun. I was like, okay, I got something to watch now.
Yeah.
What I didn't like is that they expected people to believe that it's the same dude from the 1974 movie till today. I'm like, come on, pal.
Right, and this dude is chucking chainsaws. This guy is like doing the most crazy acrobatic shit for a guy his size. Like the guy in 2003 should be doing that, not like if he's like he's supposed to be like 70 years old in the Netflix movie or something, right? Yeah, so. Yeah, that didn't work for me. Okay. Yeah, he's chucking chainsaws over heads and shit. So,
so would you recommend Texas Chainsaw Massacre for those that have never seen it, the 1974 version?
1974, absolutely, 100%. I think that's a very necessary watch. That's one where I feel like you should give that one 2 or 3 watches. Give that one because I rewatch movies a lot because I always miss one little detail here and there.
Yes.
And sometimes with like, I remember watching the original Texas Chainsaw around the same time, 14, around there.
Yeah.
That's when I was like digging through all the classics and seeing, hey, what's the hoopla? These are classics. And I remember, and so watching the OG growed up a little bit, there's things that I'm like, wow, that sticks out more, or like I understand that more, things. So
Yes,
that's why I love rewatches. So I advise, I would give, definitely rewatch it.
Awesome. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up too.
Okay, this one we didn't kind of go over, but I'm going to throw it out there in case you've seen it, the 1976 version of The Omen.
The Omen, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Damien, yeah.
Damien. Now, I found this out later that the name Damien actually in Greek means demon. Okay, so if your name is Damien, you're a demon. Well, at least the name is. Okay, so now, that movie really scared the hell out of me. And I'll tell you the part I think that kicked it off for me was when they're at his birthday and the babysitter jumps off the roof and hangs herself.
Yep, that's freaky shit, yeah.
I mean, because it was out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's still freaky. That's still a freaky image, yeah. That seems, yeah.
That one, okay, what's another part? The dog. What kind of dog was it? That wasn't a Rottweiler, was it? It was a black dog that they had in the house. It freaked me the hell out. If you guys know what dog it is, put it on the live chat.
Yeah, put it in the live chat, yeah.
You know, but the dog freaked me out, and then the sitter freaked me out, the one that was there to take care of him.
Right.
Okay. Now, another scene that really freaked me out on there was when, I'm not sure if it was a priest or somebody that had studied biblical prophecy and said that he was the Antichrist, and to make sure, check his head and he would have 666.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
When he cut his hair and he found it, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. Once again, that was 1976. Now I said 5, 6, 7 years old. Okay. I went to the bathroom and I wanted to see if I had that.
Oh shit! Wow.
Okay,
wow.
I'm being serious when I say that. I was like,
had that effect on you? It had, yeah.
It did.
Yeah,
it did. So, 666, he had him. So that was the Antichrist, born, I guess. And what did it do for you? Do you remember at what age you saw that?
Yeah, it was around the same time. Like I was like 14, 15. Just trying to dig through, and I had grouped them around the same time. It was like, it was Omen, it was off the top, Amityville Horror. I was like grouping all these at the same time, going after one by one. And I remember Omen freaking me out too. Like the actor who played Damien, I can't remember the actor's name, but I thought he was really cold and emotionless. Did a good job being stoic and just like creepy eyes. And I thought even the kills, like the chick hanging herself was creepy. Also the decapitation by the glass. That one was pretty crazy at the time. And now when you watch it, you can chuckle a little bit. But I remember being a kid being like, oh shit, like his head, the way he got, is cut off with the glass. The shit was crazy. So I enjoy Omen. I recommend that one. I do.
Yeah.
Oh, and the remake sucks. Did you see the 2000s?
It was terrible.
I think it's 2006.
Yeah. Wrong kid. He couldn't act like the original one.
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah, no question.
And the other part that I never really fully got was when they told the father, which was Gregory Peck, they told him that his son, I believe, was switched because he was rich and famous or whatnot, or not famous, but rich and powerful.
Right.
They switched his son, so then he went to the son's gravesite. And if I'm correct, I believe there was some dog bones there.
Yeah, dog bone, or definitely bones, but yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's told that he has to kill him by driving those daggers through his heart.
Right.
Now, I'm going to ask you a serious question. First of all, Gregory Peck did an amazing job
He was the man, yeah.
Yes.
He was the man. He was a fantastic actor.
Yes.
Fantastic.
By asking God to help him to kill, his child. I don't know if I can play a role like that. What about you?
See, that's a little too heavy for me, especially when it comes to like demonic attachments and shit like that. There's been a lot of cases where somebody's making a possession movie and the house is actually haunted, or it's actually a huge benevolent or a very evil force, like to a big power.
Right.
And to the point where the cast and the crew, they're saying, hey, this shit's going on, this shit's going on. Some shit's following me home. I can't sleep at night. So if it gets to that point, I don't think it's worth it personally. Like I personally don't think I would go for a role like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I think because some actors, they're like, oh, there's no limits. For me, there are limits. There are limits where I'm like, oh, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. No, thank you. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once again,
but a fantastic movie. Fantastic movie.
I definitely recommend it. Now here's another one that came out in 1979. So I'm 9 years old now. We didn't go over it, but just in case you might have seen it, the 1979 Salem's Lot.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I'm going to tell you why I love it, because I love that Nosferatu looking vampire type of dude. You know?
Right. He's sick.
Yes, I love it. So what's one thing that you can remember or that stood out to you from that movie? And then I'll tell you what freaked me out in that movie besides the blue vampire.
I'm blanking. I'm blanking out on Salem's Lot.
Let me refresh your memory.
Because there's so like that's the classic, and I don't want to be the guy to be like, oh, it's this scene, and then they're like, hey, that's the 2000 version or that's this version, because there's so many different versions, you know. So yeah.
Okay. Do you remember? I believe there was two brothers that were going through the woods. One of them is a wind comes, and one of them ends up missing. The other one just goes home. He's frightened. Okay. Then while the brother is they have the brother's funeral. The guy that's working the cemetery, something intrigues him about the coffin being down there 6 feet under.
Yeah, he locks in. Yeah, he locks in. Yeah.
He jumps in there and then he opens it to look at the body. Okay, just that scene right there, because the view of looking down, it was an aerial view of looking down of that boy's body like this, that freaked me out. And then the cemetery worker just happens to look up, and then here comes the boy. He awakens.
Right.
And he bites him in the neck. That scared the hell out of me. And in the other scene, remember?
It's a classic. Yeah, it's
Open
a classic
the window.
scene. Yeah, open the window. Yeah, classic scene.
Bro.
I do remember. Yeah, I think that was one of the more memorable one, like one of the more at the time too. I think that was the one that kind of like freaked out people the most, at the window scene and the.
And you know what? Nobody has ever really done that over again. Like a scene like that.
That was one of the few ones, one of the tropes, or one of the few ones that people just left untouched. Because there's always, even the next is like, how many possession movies are there that do this thing or do this thing or go this route? So
right.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. The window scene is the one, and then one kid actually opens the window and he floats in and he gets bit. And then there's another one where he comes and he shines the cross at him. Okay, I always liked that guy's room because if you remember, he had model kits and he always had masks. That's what made me a mask collector. I collect horror masks.
6 O's from Salem's Lot.
Yes,
that's sick.
Yeah.
Dope.
So that's why I go to a lot of these Monster Paloozas and Monster Cons and a lot of these Scream Fests, because I just like that whole horror theme events. Okay. But that was a good movie. I really enjoyed that one. Anything you care to add before we go to our next one?
And I never read the book either. And that's coming from somebody that never read the book. That's going to be a great rewatch for me. And I can't remember which platform it's on, but I was scrolling around and I did see the original Salem's Lot. So that one's going to be an awesome rewatch. And then you saying that reminded me of the window scene. I was like, yeah, that's classic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to rewatch.
Salem's Lot, for those of you who are old like me, there was the white actor. His name was David So. He was one of the guys from Starsky and Hutch.
Which one was he? The black-haired one?
The blonde-haired one.
Oh, he's the blonde-haired one.
Yeah, he was driving a Jeep in the movie. His name is, I believe, David So, and he is not Starsky, but I guess Hutch in the original TV show. So check that one out. I recommend Salem's Lot.
Dope. And then great rewatch for me. So yeah.
So we're skipping a couple of years, 1982 now. And classic John Carpenter movie, The Thing.
Oh man, come on, man! I'm a psycho. I have 3 copies of The Thing. I have 2 on Blu-ray. It's like a special edition. Then I have the regular Blu-ray, and then I have the DVD version. So,
Okay.
yeah, The Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time, like hands down.
Okay, you care to elaborate a little bit about it? Like, what's one thing that really stood out to you? Maybe freaked you out, or one of your favorite scenes, one of your favorite quotes, whatever.
With me, it was the atmosphere and how they're all boxed in, and the paranoia and who's this, are you the thing? Is this guy the thing? And it adds more to the tension, and you can feel like you can hear a pen drop, and like that's how silent that's how it feels in the movie. It's like the tension is insane. The music's in Ennio Morricone. The music's insane. It's super, like one of my favorite music scores ever. Kurt Russell's the man. Kurt Russell kills it. You got Keith David. Who else? And that's one of the few movies. That was one of the first movies I saw where you can argue who lives or dies at the end, but when the movie ends, Keith David is still standing. That's one of the first horror movies I saw where a black guy lives. So that was pretty dope. But and it's Keith David, so he's the man.
Yeah,
and then Kurt Russell. I think my favorite the effects, the makeup effects, the gore is like 10 out of 10. When the stomach opens and the doctor's like clear, and then he puts his hands and his hands get chewed off, and then the spider head dude, all the effects are super ahead of his time. It's like 10 out of 10 effects. Yeah, big time. And all prosthetic too. I think like 99% prosthetic. Yeah.
I used to have a what do you call it? A model kit of Kurt Russell with his beard all icy, holding the fire torch or whatever it's called. And man, one of my favorite movies as well. The thing that really freaked me out was that they were in a room full of men, and they were all looking at each other and says, "One of us here is not real." That's
one of the best things about it.
Yeah,
it's that paranoia, like looking over your shoulder thing. Like, which one is it?
Which one is it? And the crazy part is that we automatically, because somebody may just have his eyebrows low, that's got to be him. Look at the way he's looking. And it's definitely not. It could be the most innocent looking dude, But so it's safe to say that this was a alien horror movie?
I would say so. I mean, it's definitely I consider it more like creature, kind of like creatures, like I would say creepy. But yeah, you could say alien horror movie. Right. Like I would say so.
But that's the crazy thing, because we're not trying to play, do any spoilers, but the crazy part is that this thing cloned you to the T, where you couldn't tell who was who.
Exactly.
And that was the crazy part. The part that was very intense was the part where they're testing everybody's blood.
Yeah, they have to cut the thumbs. They have to cut the thumbs and put it in the little plastic cup, and then that part's crazy.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, everybody's next to this guy that's exploding with all these things coming out. I'm like, oh my god!
And that was a good point you said too, where you don't know which one. It can be the most innocent looking guy. Because I remember the first time I was watching the thing, I was like, it's definitely that fucking guy. It has to. And Carpenter faked me out. I was like, oh, it was that fucking guy. Like. Yeah, it's awesome. I love the fake outs in that movie. Are sick.
Did they ever do a remake?
They did. I think it was a prequel. It was 2011, and I remember not loving it as much. I think there were a couple things I did like, but there, like as a whole, I was like, it's not touching the original.
Right,
but
the prequel. Yeah.
It was 2011. They were also on the ice. Who else? Adewale was in it. Who else was in it? I can't remember the chick who's in it. I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the main chick in it. Joe, one of the Edgerton guys.
And I think you're right. It was because the movie starts off with the guy wanting to kill the dog.
Right.
So that's where they got it from. Like, let's do that movie. I get it now. I think I might have saw it, but I'm gonna go back and check that one out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, those are the type of movies that I would consider like rewatches. Like, it's like, okay, this is a rewatch day. I gotta like pick this up. I gotta pick on it again and see. Break it down again. Right. But I remember like it was nowhere near close as the original. It wasn't. Right. It was no contest. And I hate sounding like that, but with The Thing, it's like, the original is in its own league.
You recommend people watch The Thing?
1000%. The Thing is phenomenal. I give it a 10 out of 10. I damn near give it an 11 out of 10. That's how much I love The Thing. It's probably people hold Halloween as Carpenter's best, and I'm not mad at you at that whatsoever. It's super classic, but The Thing is my personal favorite Carpenter film.
Yeah, I would say it's a tie between that and Halloween.
Yeah, yeah, and there you go. Halloween's a fucking super classic. So
Yeah, that one. Okay, so now let's move on. We're gonna move on to 2009. So we're gonna skip a little bit ahead to The Fourth Kind.
oh, man,
The Fourth Kind. Now, that one, I didn't see in the movie theaters. I used to take my dad, rest in peace, to Best Buy when he used to have more of a selection, because now I think they're taking away all DVDs.
it's like empty now.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I took him, and I used to tell him, Papa, lo que tú quieres, yo te lo voy a comprar. Whatever you want, I'll buy it for you. So he was like, mira, la quiero mirar. Se me hace que son de platillos voladores. I think this is about UFOs. Okay, so I was like, all right, cool. Take it home. He calls me. He only lived down the street. He calls me. He goes, Antonio, that's what he calls me. I go, what happened? You know, I talked to him in Spanish, but I'll translate in English. He was said, after I saw that movie, it freaked me out so much. I almost felt like there were sounds or movement in my house.
Oh wow. Shit.
And I said, really? He goes, that one really freaked me out, The Fourth Kind. So I started watching it. Freaked me out too. This is the one that I think me and you had discussed over the phone, that it's almost like demonic / aliens.
Alien. To me, it's a borderline. It's borderline alien abduction film / demonic possession film, because there's one of the probably the freakiest scene to me is where one of the clips where they're watching back on one of the cases. I think it's the father of the family. Well, there's two scenes. One scene, the father of the family kills the whole family when he goes crazy, because I think he's possessed in that scene. And then there's the other scene where the aliens making contact through they're trying to talk through it and make contact with it, and it speaks in this creepy ass deep voice, and it's like, I am God, or some creepy shit like that. It's like, I am God, and to me that don't sound like no alien shit. That sounds like some demonic shit.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and what's crazy is like it does like have like alien abduction themes about it too. So
Yes.
that's why I feel like it's borderline. But the creepiest scene to me is that scene where they're making contact with it. It talks back. Then the guy's mouth, like the mouth stretches open like this and shit, and like it's just freaky. I mean, like that one, I can see why people were freaked out about it, because I think the movie had a gimmick when it was released where people were thinking it was real. It had like an angle to it.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it was like,
Yes,
this is a true story. This is based on a true story. It was found out it wasn't based on a true story, but the movie is still a very freaky watch. Like, even besides all that, I'm watching, even when I watch it as a movie, all that possession part of it and shit is it's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Look, I know a lot of you guys like movie nights and what should we watch? My thing is this. I dare you, if you haven't seen it, watch it about 9, 10 o'clock by yourself or with someone, and put that on, and let's see how you go to sleep that night.
Yeah,
you know?
It's pretty freaky.
Yeah, that one was freaky for me, and again, I was trying to distinguish the demonic from the abduction,
Right.
but they mixed it very well. I thought they did a great job on that.
Right. It was like a nice borderline, a
Yes.
nice parallel.
But now, you know, since just to touch on it, because I almost feel like certain parts reminded me of that movie that I brought up to you, Paranormal Activity, where it's pretty much just, you know, and then people turn around like
Jump scares and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so some people were telling me that Paranormal Activity was actually real because how they were constantly filming themselves, and some people were saying, oh no, that's real footage. Then I found out later on that people were just saying that for publicity so that people can go watch.
It's a gimmick. Yeah,
It was a
like
gimmick.
to get the people in the seats in the theaters and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Kind of like one of my brothers told me, and I'm not trying to go too far ahead, but since we're talking about supposedly true stories, the Blair Witch Project. Everybody was saying,
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, they were saying that, oh, it's too real. It's too real. They're not acting and stuff.
right,
But
that they were saying that they're not acting. This is actual footage. They found their cameras, etc. Just quickly, I guess maybe some of the time we'll review the Blair Witch Project. Would you recommend the Blair Witch Project?
I've reviewed the Blair Witch Project. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can honestly, the thing is, I can still, like, when it comes to a movie like that, I can still not be a fan of it and still see why people appreciate it. Because Blair Witch Project, the one thing I will give it credit for is that it is very atmospheric. It does have a very creepy feeling to it. They are running through the woods through the whole movie damn near. And my gripe with it is that it's just yelling like ah da 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 through the whole damn woods through the whole movie. But to give it the credit, the atmosphere is pretty well done. It's like, it's keeping you guessing, like, is this thing real? Is this thing real? Are they going crazy? Are the woods is it a psychological movie? Are the woods making them go crazy? You know, so it is that Blair Witch Project, I would describe as just a huge question mark movie. It's like, oh, what is it? And then at the end, you do see the guy like is affected by something, and I think, I don't know if he's possessed or if if there is a witch, or I'm not a huge fan of it, though.
I wasn't a fan of it either. I mean, it looked like this is just me dogging it. It looked like somebody made it on their lunch break. You know, I just couldn't stand when they were hearing. They had the camera and they were like, and I'm like, okay, stop,
all the
stop,
shaky cam and all the, you know.
I just thought it was too much of that. Man. But you know what? It made a lot of money.
Yeah. I think the budget, it was insane. The budget was tiny. The budget was probably less than $30,000, and then it made over $100 or $200 million. Like it was like one of the biggest.
They hit the lottery.
It was one of the biggest grossing movies ever of all time.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. So now, anyway, that was once again The Fourth Kind. I recommend it. You recommend it? The Fourth Kind?
Oh, The Fourth Kind, yes. I thought you said Blair Witch Project. No. I was like, no, but Fourth Kind I do recommend, absolutely. I recommend Fourth Kind.
Okay, now we jump 1 year. Insidious 2010, the very first one, I believe. I believe you came out with a second one, correct?
There's 3 of them.
Okay, I just thought, I know I saw 2 of them.
I didn't see 3.
Okay. Part 1 of Insidious. Your thoughts on that?
I give it a 7 out of 10. There's things I do like about it. There's parts that I do think are creepy, but there's also parts like when the red guy starts like climbing over the walls and shit like that. It kind of takes me out of the movie a little bit. I'm like, I think it's a little goofy, but that's just me. That's just me. That's just me. And the scenes I did like was like the other world, where like they would go into the other world and there's like the creepy ass family on the couch just smiling and shit like that. I was like, I thought those images were pretty creepy.
Right.
And then like you would open the door and you'd see the shadow with the claw. I was like, that's a cool image. And like cool visuals. The acting's I like the solid acting. I think the kids were pretty good for what they were given. Patrick Wilson's a good actor, and I do like Insidious, the first one.
Now the red guy, I don't know if they ever give him a name. That red demon guy.
They do, but I forgot his name. Yeah.
When I saw it and I paused it, the thing that I thought was a little like cheesy for me, even though it scared the hell out of me. Because there was a lot of that jump scare, you know.
When he's behind him.
When he's behind him.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
So, but when I paused and I saw him, being a huge Star Wars fan, I thought that guy looks like Darth Maul.
Well, that's what everybody was saying. I remember he was a big meme, that red guy in Insidious. They were calling him Darth Maul. Oh, yeah, he was a big meme actually.
Okay,
yeah.
So I was like, okay, that kind of looked like Darth Maul. Scared the hell out of me.
He did. He looked like Darth Maul with a tail, you know, or if he had a tail, I think.
Now. This might not have freaked people out, but it did me, and I'm gonna explain. Do you remember when the woman I'm drawing a blank? She plays the record. She plays the vinyl. Okay.
Oh, and it's like playing. Yeah, it's playing through the. Okay. Was she in the other world, or was she in the crib, or in the actual?
No,
crib?
She was in the house.
She was in the house, right? Yeah.
Then she walks out to take out the trash. She hears the needle lift up, play another record, and then. We'll do the window. Remember that shit?
Tiny Tim, tiptoe through the tulips.
Yes. Okay. And then she looks inside, and then what does she see? If I'm correct, that little boy dancing.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
That freaked me out, and I'm gonna tell you why. When I was young, I was passing by a house. I don't even know what the name of the song was, but there was music coming out. Okay. So I kind of like went to go look in the side of the house, and I'm not going to lie to you. I know it's going to seem like a lie, but that scene reminded me of what I saw.
Oh, shit.
I saw a Doberman Pinscher standing on both of his legs, dancing to a song. Now, I'm in the window looking at somebody else's house. I had no business being there, but I just heard the music. And I was like, what the hell? So when I saw that little boy dancing, you know, and the lady's like shocked, like, who in the hell's that little boy? Because, you know, I thought to myself, that's what I saw.
With the Doberman, right,
Yeah.
right.
But a dog dancing, the Doberman. And I remember back in the day, those were more, at least for me when I was in elementary, those were more popular than pit bulls, because they used to clip their tail and clip their ears, and they used to look like real evil looking, sharp looking dogs. But that's one scene for me that really, really got me, because I thought I seen something like that. But that was a perfect song for that movie, though.
Well, I 100% agree. It's like, because on second thought you would think, oh, it's a really goofy song, but strangely it fits like hand in glove. You know, like this, and that scene is very childlike. The kid is playing around and stuff, and that scene just adds to it. And I mean, excuse me, and that song just adds to it. And as goofy as the Tiny Tim song is, there is a creepiness to it because of how vintage and how old sounding that song is. Yes. You know, it just has a, and then tiptoe. It is pretty creepy. You know, So.
Oh, good. Okay, that's Insidious. Do you recommend Insidious for people to watch?
You know what? Yeah, check it out. I say check it out. Mm.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I think you should check it out. The last one, at least that we have, before we start going to certain people that have submitted certain movies. 2013, The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Okay, Ed and Lorraine
Warren. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we get into the movie, I had a guy here named, I think his name was something. You know what? I'll give you the name right now. The reason why I'm bringing him up is because I had him here as a guest. Okay, and he said his name's Brian Clune. Brian Clune. He doesn't like to be called a paranormal expert. He just likes to be called somebody that does it's into the paranormal.
Right.
And he's been doing it for many, many, many years. But he said, in our world, he says, Ed and Lorraine Warren, he said, are the biggest frauds ever.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said. Wow. And he said it here on this show. And I was like, really? And he said, yes. And I was like, well, like how? He goes, we know people that know them, and I've been in the presence of that doll. You know?
Oh, the Annabelle doll.
Yeah, the Annabelle doll. Yeah. You know, and he said, and I never felt anything, and nobody's ever felt anything. The only people that ever felt anything are the goofball. He goes, the goofball from Zach Bagans' museum.
Oh, that dude, the Ghost Adventures guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
He said those are the only guys that claimed, oh, they feel something and they start crying. He said, man, I know stuff that Zach Bagans has at his museum. I know for a fact where he bought those from, and they're fake. You know, so he was blowing the horn out here.
You said his name was Bruce.
Brian
Clune.
Clune.
Let me check him.
Yeah.
Let me check his stuff out.
Yeah. I seen him the other day at the market again, and he sells books. And he's always like up in the city of Torrance. I think it's the last Sunday of the month. He's out there. They have like a big old farmers market thing, and he sets up his stand, and anybody can go up and talk to him. You know, and he has all of his books, and he'll tell you about everywhere that he's went. Now, he did say this, and it kind of saddened me a little bit, okay? Because he said, you know, for every paranormal expert out there, he says, none of us have ever, he said, the odds of experiencing something are 99.9% that we're not. And I said, really?
Well, he said the majority of you, the major chance of you not experiencing something is high?
Yeah, like that you're not going to experience anything.
Something.
And then I said, really? And I said, so why do you do this? Why do you spend so many years and write books? He said, for that 1%. And I was like, that sounds whack, man. I wanted the spiritual world to be real. You know, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I've never experienced one haunted house. I never experienced this. And I'm thinking to myself, then why you do it? So it kind of like saddened me a little bit, but he would like tell me, I went to this place, it's not haunted. I went to this place and it's not haunted. I wrote about it in my book. You know, you can reach me here. You can ask me anything. He was just tripping me out. But when it came to Ed and Lorraine, he blasted them. You know, but can it be some paranormal hating? You never know.
Well, the thing is with I'd say 99.9, I think that's a pretty big number because I know a good amount of, and you know, everybody, how I look at spiritual experiences and seeing spirits and hearing things and having your own personal experiences, I feel like it is personal at the end of the day. It's like you can tell when somebody's kind of lying about it, like making a story or making up like a Hollywood script or something out of their story. But you can genuinely see when some people are like, yo, I've seen some shit. Like, and you can just tell in their eyes. You could tell, like, I always feel like eyes are the windows to the soul, you know, and I
believe that.
And I've personally had, you know, some spiritual experiences, so, and a good amount of some close people to me too. So to say 99.9, I feel like, to me, I feel it's more 50-50. I feel like 50% of people aren't really going to have too many experiences. They might not go through it, or they might live their whole life being like, I didn't experience one thing. Then there's another half that are like, yo, I've experienced a lot of shit, you know, like, So that's how I look at it.
Because I've experienced a lot of things too. So I'm sitting here listening to a guy that doesn't like to be considered a paranormal expert, but in his field, people see him as an expert, and really hasn't experienced anything. And I'm thinking, here am I. I'm not a paranormal expert.
Strange.
But I've seen a bunch of stuff. And you know what it probably is? It's probably because he goes looking for it. That's probably what it is.
That's a great point. I mean, I feel like a majority of spiritual experiences, that shit comes to you, where like, or you're not looking for it, or you know, that's probably a majority of my experiences where I was at school. I was in elementary school and I saw a spirit, and like and just the way it flashed by quick, I'm like, wait, is that one of the other kids in my class or something? But the way there was no feet, shit like that, it was like a silhouette, and it was just things like that where I'm like, yo. So I've always had experiences like that since I was like 8-9 years old, yo. Yeah. So and spiritual experiences like that, seeing that type of stuff is very personal. It's very 50-50. Some people go their whole life without seeing no shit like that, and they're like, that's why I don't believe in that shit. And I'm like, I can't fault you, but there's also a chunk of people that we can relate to, like we've been through some shit,
you know, like but before we get into some of those experiences that you've had, I want to touch on once again of The Conjuring, because the part that freaked me out, and it's similar, very, very similar to the things that I've seen and experienced. When Lorraine walks in, she sees, she explains how she saw the family, all the kids.
Oh yeah. And it's over. And the things, that scene's awesome. That's a creepy ass scene. That's a well done scene.
So now, I don't know if there's a correct name for it. Is it shadow people? Is it a demon? Is it a spirit? Is it a lost soul? Is it somebody in purgatory? But according to the movie, was it supposed to be a demon or an evil spirit? Or
yes, because the Warrens in the movie, they made it. They were trying to make it clear that they were demonologists, or that they were going after these evil forces type of thing. And the spirit that does inhabit the spirit that is taking control over the house is a witch. It's like a Salem witch type of chick. Right. And she's like, and in the movie, she does say, I worship the devil. That's what she said. I don't, but that's what the fuck she said in the movie. Just want to make that clear. I'm a man of the Most High, so there's certain keywords. So she says she worships him, and then she hangs herself from a tree, and she declares, this is my land. Anybody that's on this land is cursed, or anybody that takes over my land is cursed. So the family that the Warrens help out, they move into the farmhouse, and that's when the shit pops off, you know?
Yeah.
So it is definitely a demonic, evil-ass spirit that's taking over that house.
The lady that was possessed, she played a very, very great role. Now, one thing, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, because this part seems a little cloudy. I think she was experiencing getting bruises.
Bruises, yeah. She was getting bruises over her arms, over her shoulders, shit like that. Yeah.
Now, I've known several women, 2 women to be exact. Another one told me that I didn't really know too well, but 2 of them told me a story that they would wake up every so often with bruises between their legs. These are women, and I know them very, very well, and I don't know them as women that would lie, okay? And if they did lie, I don't know what they would get by telling me these stories. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there was really nothing to gain, but they're telling me that they would be so scared. It was almost like a sleep paralysis thing where they couldn't move. Their legs were open, and they felt.
I know a lot about sleep paralysis. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've experienced it myself.
We'll get into that.
Absolutely.
And they would feel something having sex with them, you know?
So like a male version of a succubus. Like a male version of a succubus.
Yes. And so when one of the women was telling me, she was, how do you say? You could see the fear in her face, like I'm almost embarrassed and terrified that I'm sharing this with you. Okay. And I try to be sensitive. There's no other way to ask but to ask. I said, so as I said, as horrible as this may sound, but you can actually feel like a penis inside of you. And she would say yes.
Wow.
But there would be nobody there. You know, and she would wake up with bruises. And after a while, she was a Catholic woman. She said she sought help, but she couldn't get help from the priest, from the Catholic Church, because they were, according to her, what the church told her, that they have to submit a form to the Vatican to see if they can perform an exorcism. But she says, I don't believe I'm demonically possessed. Then he said, then you need to go get psychologically
checked out or reviewed or
Yes, before we could take her to another level. So she just said that eventually she just began to pray, and little by little it went away. But the other one told me that it happened to her like twice, and then it never happened again. Why did that happen to those women? I don't know. And that was her question to me. Like, why do you think? I said, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, that one's a biggie. I mean, I don't want to deflect from, that's a fucking awful story. That reminds me of the Barbara Hershey movie, I think The Entity. And in that movie, she gets raped by a ghost or by a demonic spirit.
Exactly.
So that's a very heavy subject. I mean, damn. Like, I honestly don't have an answer for that, you know? And it's just bottom line, I think it just boils down to just some very wicked ass fucking demonic ass energy, you know.
Now the Conjuring on that one, what was one thing I said would have stood out to me was that shadow person behind the children. Anything else that stood out to you on that movie?
With me, with Conjuring, I appreciated it more as like a ghost hunting kind of story, where I was like, I love the case and I love like how they're breaking it down, the exorcism and how they're trying to go after it. But the end, I feel like the last 40 minutes, the shit just pops off. It turns into a batshit movie, especially when the exorcism goes down. They got Lily Taylor. They got the possessed mother. They have her in the chair. Patrick Wilson, Ed Warren. He's trying to get her out. He's like speaking, I think, like the Latin or the whatever language he's speaking, and it's very freaky. Just how like her face changes into the demon and shit, and like popping out of the sheet and shit. Like that part, like kind of gave me like a little like, oh, what the fuck, you know? It was very intense the last 30-40 minutes, because I felt like the first half to the middle of The Conjuring, I'm like, okay, the scares aren't my favorite thing about the movie so far. I love the performances, the writing. I love how they're tackling the case and everything. That's how I was watching it, as like a ghost hunting movie, more as that besides a horror movie. But the last 30 to 40 minutes or 40 to 30 minutes and shit, I was like, this turned into a batshit ass horror film.
Yes,
you know, and they do have scenes where there was a cool scene that I felt like the payoff should have been a little cooler, where they're like, oh, there's something behind the door. There's something behind the door. And it's shot very well, creepy ass shadow. And the other sister's like, there's nothing behind the door. She goes up to check. And the whole time we're like focused on the shadow. And we're like, is a face going to pop out? Is a hand something? And all it does is just shut the door. I was like, damn, like I wish the payoff was a little better, you know? But like I felt like, and who the fuck am I? But I felt like if, you know, you pop a finger out or a toe or so, or a hand or some shit, maybe give it a little extra creepy. But I think I just liked the feel. I did like the feel of that. Like, as an example, the feel of that scene was pretty creepy. Just the tension build around it and shit. Well, Conjuring is a great tension building movie. You know, a lot of you recommend it? Yeah, I do. I actually enjoy The Conjuring. I do. Yeah.
Yes. Did you watch all the other ones?
I didn't. I got a 2 is very, very fuzzy for me. I can't remember if I didn't see it or if I maybe got 10 minutes in and kind of checked out. Not because it's slow. It's just a lot of shit. But I got to really rewatch 2, and I have not seen 3. Because I heard 3 was really mixed. I had homies that were like, 3's good, and I had homies like 3 was trash. So I was like, damn, I don't, you know. Like, I'm going to check it out someday. Yeah.
Are you familiar? I hope I'm not pronouncing it wrong. Is it Hereditary or?
Hereditary, yeah.
Hereditary. Okay, now, the reason, is that something new?
That one came out 2017, Live chat, correct me on that. I think it's 2017, but Hereditary, maybe 2016, but around there. Yeah, around there.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it, but there were some people commenting that on my post when I posted up. You talk about this and but I don't really know that movie. Maybe we'll cover it on the next one, but because I know The Exorcist 2, it was called the
Heretic. Yeah, Heretic.
The Heretic. There
The
you
Heretic.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's what I thought. Okay, let me go ahead and go to something really quick, and I just want to let me see. I want to go to your guys's. Let's see. Your guys' choices. All right, so here we go. Give me 1 second, you guys. Right here. Let's see. All right, we got a couple of comments. Okay. Evil Dead.
Oh man, classic, super classic. I love 1. I love Dead by Dawn 2, and I even enjoy Army of Darkness. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the 2014 remake or the reboot, whatever you want to call it, or 2013. I have fun with it. It doesn't hold a light, in my opinion, to the originals at all. It's like the originals are far superior. I hate keep saying that, but I did have fun with the newer version. I did.
Okay.
They have a new one coming out next month, I think.
Okay.
Evil Dead Rise or something. Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw these out there, and you kind of just like briefly, it's up to you if you want to touch on them, because there's a lot of them, and then I really want to get into your story.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh man, Rob Zombie. So I'm not a big Rob Zombie guy, me personally.
Same here.
I do have some fun with House of Thousand Corpses, though. It does feel very schizophrenic, and it feels like a huge music video, kind of like a creepy-ass hardcore music video, how the style was filmed. But I think House of a Thousand Corpses is one of his better ones. I'm not a fan of his Halloween films. I don't like 1 or 2. I think Halloween 2 is his worst movie he ever made.
Yeah.
I do. The Munsters is taking the cake for that, though. I did see the Munsters. That's probably his worst. But I wasn't as fan of his Halloweens. Devil's Rejects is his best movie, because even that, I give that one like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe a like 8 out of 10, because that one is, I do think that one is well made, and the Rob Zombie, like that's him at his best, or him at his most artistic best. Like it's still very Rob Zombie dialogue with the fuck, shit, cunt, this, bop, bop, bop. Am I allowed to curse? I know that's a very late question, but but it's Rob Zombie. That's his style. So
okay.
But yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses, I like that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Just kind of give a little quick recap. Some people mentioned Hostel.
Oh, I like the first one.
The first one I like.
I like the first one. The second one I'm not a fan of. But the first one, it is a torture porn, gory flick. But there is some elements of some psychological shit, like a creepy feeling of they're trapped in this fucking place. They're getting kidnapped by like these beautiful European women and shit. So they're getting trapped by these ladies, and the ladies are, working for these fucks. So the plot line is pretty cool. Like people look at Hostel as like a gory torture porn flick, and I'm not, obviously I can understand that, but I even like the plot line to it too. I like Hostel 1.
Jeepers Creepers.
Love Jeepers Creepers. I love 1 and 2. The director's a scumbag though, Victor Salva. Fuck him. But the director was a pedophile and shit. And
really?
And the director, he was convicted of it in the 90s, I believe, or the late 80s or mid 90s, and he actually. This is dark material, but he molested one of his lead stars in the Clown House movie. The guy directed a movie called The Clown House, and the star never did a movie ever again. He was traumatized, and Victor Salva is actually still working to this day. He did Jeepers Creepers 3, which was a piece of shit. That was his worst movie, one of the worst movies I ever seen in the theater. But besides talking, because it's hard to talk about Jeepers Creepers without talking about the director, because when you rewatch Jeepers Creepers 2, there's some creepy ass parts in the movie, like with the kids in the bus or the students in the bus, like the creepers licking the window and picking them out one by one and shit like that. Like you can tell the director's a creep, just like the movie he made. But As a movie, I really enjoy, because I grew up with the Jeepers Creepers films as well. I'm a little younger, I'm 25, but when Jeepers Creepers, when 2 came out, I remember when it came out on DirecTV, like clear as day. So I've always been attached to those, the first 2. But 3 is one of the worst movies you'll ever see in your entire life. I had 5 of my homies went to go see Jeepers Creepers 3. I was excited. I was like, I'm a fan of the first 2, and I gave it a 1 out of 10. It's wow. Horrible.
Okay, one last one before you go to your stories. 13th Ghost.
I love 13 Ghosts is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I know it's very goofy. It is a bit. Camera work is a little bit schizophrenic here and there with how they handle like certain editing style choices, but Matthew Lillard's the man. I'm a big fan of him. I think he steals the show. Tony Shalhoub is great as the father, Arthur. Rod Digger, that was another movie where the black person lives in the whole movie too, in the horror film. Rod Digger survived 13 Ghosts, and shout out to Rod Digger too, incredible MC. But and MC, yeah. So 13 Ghosts. The ghosts are creepy. I love the design on them. The jackal freaked me out as a kid. Yes. The dude with the cage around his head, he was a creepy ghost. The chick with her titties out, like that was. As a kid, I was confusing because she was creepy, but her titties were out. So I was like, damn, like I was conflicted. But the ghosts are handled very, very well. Like the ghosts are very creepy. And I love 13 Ghosts. I'm a big fan of that movie. And I know it's a remake too. It's a Vincent Price film. Like the original is a Vincent Price film. But I'm a big fan, yeah.
I'm here blown away, bro, how much you know about, and then you over here mentioning Vincent Price. You know, that's awesome, though.
I'm a psycho, yeah. I love this shit, yeah.
All good. You know, we'll stop it right there with the movies, and maybe one day in the future we'll do a part 2, and we'll pick some more of our favorites. But let me give you, well, I want to give you the platform right now because I know you said that over the phone that there was a lot of you had a lot of experiences with sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Can you kind of go into that a little bit? And when did it start for you? Around how old were you when this started?
For me, the earliest memory I can remember, I was 8 years old, and I moved around a bit, but I moved back to the house that I grew up in. So the earliest I was 8 years old, I remember being in the house I grew up in, and I just remember sleep paralysis is where you're laying, you're on bed and everything starts to lock up. You cannot move a fucking muscle. You can't wiggle a toe. You can't move a finger. You can't do anything. Like, it's like you're tightened up and you feel this heavy pressure. It's like it's hard to breathe a little bit. So there's different levels to it. What I would experience from the only thing, the craziest it would get from me personally were the whispering, that like creepy ass whispering, and you would feel like people were around you. You would feel like a crowd was around you looking at you on the bed, but nobody's around. The only thing you can move are your eyes, so you're like this, moving like peripheral and shit. Can't move a fucking muscle. So that was the craziest. Every time I would have it, that was the craziest it would get for me. Every time I would feel my body lock up, I just knew it was coming. I was like, oh shit, it's about to fucking happen tonight. But I managed to break out of it in a way where when I started realizing the slightest, my finger getting paralyzed or anything getting like starting to lock up, I would immediately try to break out of that shit. I'll be like, go to the other side, go lay on your stomach or lay on your other side. Don't lay on your back, So I haven't had sleep paralysis in about 5 years. So I went from having it from 8 years old to around 5 years ago. And I'm really grateful I haven't had it since. But speaking of levels with sleep paralysis, people have it way worse sometimes. Some people see shit. Some people see shadow people. Some people see old witches. Some people see a man in all black, like a black coat and a black hat. They see that shit. I have a good amount of homies who actually seen that. They're like, yo, man in a black hat, no joke. So the witch, I know a lot. I don't know if it's a tale in Mexico, but I've heard a lot of folks in Mexico have said they've seen like a witch or something like that, and they're like, or was it? Yeah. So. That my experience with sleep paralysis, I'm grateful that it wasn't as crazy as I've heard it. Like, there's levels to that shit, definitely.
So you would say that it was always the same for you. It was like you couldn't move, but you would hear voices.
I would hear voices, and I wouldn't see shadow people, but you can feel them. It would feel like a crowd is around the bed, where you're like, yo, like. There's nobody here, but you can feel that. It's like literally a stadium is around your bed or some shit.
It's funny that you say that because that's one thing that I've experienced for a long time. Mine started happening in my early 20s. And I'll tell you where it did happen for me the majority of the time when I was out doing shows, when I was already DJing and producing and stuff. And regardless of what state I was in, depending on it always happened in hotel rooms.
That's happened to me in a hotel. That's insane.
Okay. So
that's insane.
Later on, now that I'm older, I always think, you know what? It's probably something in this hotel or in this room, you know?
No question. No question.
You know, now, I will say this, that for those of you that have had sleep paralysis, you know when you're about to fall into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can feel it creeping up.
Yes.
You can feel it creeping up.
You can feel it. And there's been times where I've closed my eyes, and while my eyes are closing, I tell myself, okay, I can't control it. I'm going in. Like, you know, I couldn't snap out of it. And there were times that my kids have woken me up. Like,
is everything okay? Yeah.
Because one time I was yelling for my son, and I was like, bro, help.
That's exactly how it sounds. It's like you're choked up. It's like you're trying to say, and it's like your eyes are speaking. Like it's like the only thing you can really speak with is your eyes, because it's the only thing you can really move. So it's like you're kind of speaking with your eyes. You're like, oh, that's exactly how it sounds.
You know, when somebody that has never experienced it, the best way that I can kind of explain it is if sometimes I didn't know if I was awake or asleep. I'm like in the middle somewhere. That's what I didn't know. And there would be times that I'd like wiggle my way out and like, okay, nobody's here, nobody. And then all of a sudden my eyes start closing again. I'm like, no. And then I'm back to the people in the room, like they're throwing a party. People were kicking my bed. Some people were shoving me, walking right by me. And it was just so weird. And I'm over here like, And one time, I don't think this was a sleep paralysis, but it was something different. This was an Oxnard favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. I took my two boys to go see my team play, training camp. So we were supposed to stay at the embassy where the Dallas Cowboys stay. Well, I guess they overbooked, and they told us, you know, you got this hotel, but it's a cheap hotel. It was like a trucker stop. I went in there. I've always seen black shadows. Okay. I never seen so much the hat, but more like the big silhouette, like the way we saw in the country. Now, this one, I was attacked by something that was white. The very first time that I've ever seen it white. We had the lights turned off, and I got my eyes closed, and something told me to open up my eyes, and I looked, and it was standing at the where my feet are at, and then it just jumped on me. Like I saw this thing was white, skinny, and it's the first time that I saw it skinny, because the black ones were big, okay? And it jumped on me and it had me like this. And I just started
trying to break out of the shit. Yeah.
Then finally, my boys wake me up to turn on the light, and they go, "What's the matter?" And I just said, "I just got attacked," and they witnessed it. Something in here attacked me. Something in here attacked me. They said, "What are you going to do?" And I'll be honest with you, one thing that I always did, and I think helped me snap out of it, was I prayed. You know?
Well, absolutely. Oh, that's one of the best medicines. You know, that's the key. You know,
I prayed it. But there are times, man, that, you know, okay, look, I've had dreams, bro, that like I was about to kiss my high school sweetheart or whoever she was, you know, and my mom wakes me up, and then I'm like, no. You try to go back to sleep, to try to go back to kissing her or holding her hand, whatever, okay? But when it comes to sleep paralysis, when you snap out of it and you wake up and you happen to go back in, it starts off again right where you left off. Can you say the same thing happened to you?
Absolutely. That's happened to me a couple of times, yeah. Because I can't round the exact number I've had sleep paralysis, but I can definitely say since 8 years old to 5 years ago, at least 40, 50 times. At least I've had at least 40 or 50 episodes of sleep paralysis, you know. Yeah. So there are times where I feel like that, where it's like literally like the worst, scariest video game in the world, where it's like you're the player, but you can't really control anything. You can't control the game, you know.
I will say this though, that the majority of sleep paralysis for me were always at hotels, when I was out of town. And then the people that I heard around me were people that I knew, but I knew they weren't there. It was their voices. Now, I'm going to share with you a story that I've never shared before, probably not even to anyone. In 2002, I left music. I was just tired of music. I didn't want nothing to do with music. I was tired of, not that I didn't love rap anymore. What made me didn't like it anymore was the business side of it. You're just constantly getting ripped off. You're networking. Nothing's happening. Everyone is out for themselves. So I went out and got a job. I was thankful for my job, and I had orientation in a couple of days. And so I started selling my equipment and everything. I was happy with my decision. But that night I went to bed. Something woke me up. My door was open. Now, in my dream, I know I'm dreaming. Have you ever had those where you're dreaming?
Where it's extremely realistic.
Yes.
Or, I've had a couple. I call them realistic feeling dreams. Yeah.
So
vivid dreams. Yeah.
In my dream, I wake up and I look. My door is open. I could see all the way down the hall to my front door. And there was a guy there, and he walks away. I couldn't tell who he was. So I get up, like, who in the hell is that in my house? But in my dream, I know I'm dreaming. And he walks outside. So as I turn the corner, I walk straight, and as I turn the corner to go to my front door, my door is locked. So I'm like, okay. So I open it, and I look, and there was a dude standing right there with his hat backwards, and he was just staring at me like this. I couldn't see his face. His face was blurred out. Okay?
Yeah, that's how they looked at me too. Yeah, that's how they looked at me. I could never make out their face or anything.
Yeah. So he was just standing there. Okay. And as weird as it may sound, bro, I said, "Who are you?" And he looked at me, and you know how people, or you can communicate, I guess, without ever speaking.
Yes, through the eyes. Yeah, through the eyes or
And here's what he told me: hip hop.
He had his hat back and everything.
Yeah,
and
as weird as that may sound, that's what he said. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, what the hell? So I closed the door, and I'm standing there. And I reopen the door, and now more people are coming to, like, circling my house. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now, it's really freaking me out, so I close the door again. Now, I have a wooden door and I have a screen door. The screen door was locked, so the third time I open it, I look, and they're all like this, plastered on my screen door, all of them. And I got really, really scared. But I told myself, I need to overcome this fear, or this will always haunt me.
Yeah, it'll be over your shoulder.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be
So
up.
I opened the door, and they started saying, open the door. And I was saying, get out of here. I command you to leave. Now I wake up in my bed. My alarm goes off. You know what time it was?
3
o'clock in the morning. Okay? Got to get to work. And I'm terrified to get up. I'm terrified. So I get up, put my clothes on, about to go to work. So now, and this was just like orientation type of deal, but those were going to be my hours. I don't know if you call those graveyard or not. So I get up, and before I open my door, I look outside in the blinds just to make sure nobody was out there.
Right.
But here's the crazy part. From a distance, I hear, ah, and it was a woman yelling. And I'm like, holy crap, I got to get to work. So I just closed my eyes and I prayed, got in the car, went to work. I was at work, like, looking at everybody like I ain't trusting nobody.
The paranoia, yeah.
But the funny thing was this, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Philip, if you ever happen to watch this show. There's a guy that he just kept looking at me, and he pulls me over after work. It was maybe, my orientation was over maybe about 5 o'clock. It was like a 2.5 hour orientation. And he pulls me to the side. He goes, hey, what's your name? And I said, Antonio. And he goes, hey, what's up, Anthony? And I was like, what's good, man? And he goes like, you look a little bit out of place. Are you okay? And I said, I just had this weird dream. And he said, well, come on, let's go upstairs. I'll buy you a breakfast burrito. I was like, all right. So the cafeteria was open. So we go over there. We start talking, we start eating, and he tells me this. I don't know why. He's, I'm going to tell you this. He said, but I'm about to retire, and I'm about to become an assistant pastor. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm under the ministry and everything. And I was like, okay, cool, you know. And he said, I don't know why, but something drew me to you, and something told me that something was bugging you. He goes, so now you're telling me this dream. He said, you know what? You're in good hands. And he put his hand over my shoulder and he prayed for me. And believe it or not, that comforted me. It really did comfort me.
It made you feel, you feel that sense.
But I tell you what, that dream literally lasted at least like hanging over my shoulder for a good week.
So it was a reoccurring dream. It was I've had those.
Yeah.
I still to this day have reoccurring dreams. Yeah.
You know, so
it's like the same, it's like Groundhog Day with that dream, you know?
Yes. So anyways, I've never shared that, man. And because when I share it, I still see it happening.
Yeah,
you know?
It's very vivid.
Yes, and believe me, some of those dreams you can't wake up from. You can. Have you ever had those dreams where you can fly?
Off the top of my head, can't think of one.
Okay, here's one. I get up. I know I'm dreaming. Okay, cool. I walk outside, start walking around the neighborhood, and it's always dark. And I start running and I start flying. Here's the crazy part about those dreams when I fly. Okay. When I come back down and I'm walking home, 3 men always appear. The guy with the hat, trench coats. And I always see them coming down like this and land on the street and then start walking towards me. And I start looking, I'm like, what the hell? Only one time they got really close and I flew away and they were catching up to me. And I made myself wake up because I knew I was sleeping. But always those 3 men. So, and always when I fly, and it's always late at night. So I've had a lot of those creepy dreams, man. Yeah. But anything else you wanted to share on that on those dreams that you've had before we start taking calls?
No, the craziest one. I mean, not even the craziest one, but I have the biggest reoccurring dream that I have is a zombie apocalypse at an airport, and this dream I've had this dream probably since I was 12 or 13 years old, and I just get it once in a while. It's not every single day, but once in a while that dream will pop up and I'm fighting for my life in the fucking airport. Zombies break out. It's very realistic, like how it's popping off and shit, and like they start multiplying, and that one's always the most intense dream. But the most realistic dream I ever had that involved zombies too was my home. And I dreamed my room, I dreamed my backyard, like me fending off the zombies, me getting in the car, putting my family in the car, getting out of there, like super vivid and realistic, where to the point I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I had to pinch myself and shit, you know?
Quick question before we go ahead and put up the number up there for the callers to call in. Deep question, but I have to ask you because a lot of people have asked me this question. Do you believe that there will be possibly one day a zombie apocalypse?
You know what's crazy is I'll say that the dreams I've had felt extremely realistic to the point where I can see it happen, because there's different variations of a zombie apocalypse. It could be mad cow disease like Zombieland, or it could to make people start running fast as shit and eating people, or it can be airborne like Walking Dead, where it's all in the air and no matter how you die, you come back, you turn into that. So the most realistic one I could think of is probably like some mad cow disease shit, or some sort of they put it in the food, or they put it in such a big supply for us that it infects us and shit on a massive scale and makes us turn like into that type of like crazy ass, brain eating motherfuckers, ravenous people. And maybe not with zombie apocalypse, maybe it won't be flesh eaters. Maybe it'll be like that movie The Crazies, where they pick up fucking weapons and start killing people and shit. Like they're mindless, but they're killing people and shit. So I can see that happen, like some, maybe not run up and tear guts out type of shit, but like some mindless, Yeah, I can see that. Did you ever hear about that one man in Florida that was caught on camera eating a person? Bath salts, right?
I believe so.
Was it bath salts? Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest things in that year was the bath salt case. It was I think it was like was he home? I think it was a homeless dude, or he was a crazy dude. He caught. I think he ate the ladies. He was like a lady's face or something. Yeah. And it was, and found out it was like bath salts was like the biggest thing because of that at that time.
Did they ever explain like why or what was the motive or how did he get like that?
I can't remember if they just labeled him as like mental illness or schizophrenic or something like that, or if they just ran with it. He was a psychopath. I honestly can't remember. So I'm gonna look. I gotta look more into that again.
Okay.
But I do remember that was like that was one of the biggest news at that time.
Yes. Now let's go ahead and put the number up. Let's go ahead and start taking some calls. Let me see. I'm gonna put this one over here. Put this one over here. Okay. Okay. So if you guys want to call in and ask anything pertaining to any topic that we discussed, any movie that we discussed, go ahead and call in right now. We're only going to take a few phone calls, but I want you guys to call in and maybe you guys want us to touch on a certain movie or give us you know what? Hold on, we having trouble finding the new number. Okay. I'll be able to tell. I'm not sure if that's the right one, but let me go ahead and hopefully, Anthony, if you're watching, text the number. I want to make sure that I have the right number. All right. I believe it's the 221 number. Have it? Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's that one. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. So yes, I believe it's the 221 number. So all right. There you go. That's it. Okay, the correct number is up on the screen, everybody. So once again, go ahead and call in. Ask whatever you got to ask. 221-7360. That's it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Give people time. Okay, let me stop this. Okay, here we go. Okay, caller, call back. Here we go. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
This is Alex from Whittier.
What's up, Alex from Whittier? How you doing tonight, man?
Good, and you?
Good. You had a question, bro? Question, comment, or a story?
Yeah, I wanted to get in touch with the dreams and all that.
Okay.
Because one time I had a crazy ass dream.
Go for it, man.
All right, so there was this one time where I kind of had a sleep paralysis, and all I could hear was the word devil and Satan.
Oh shit.
And yeah, and when I woke up, I saw my dad in the hallway because this happened when I was a kid, and I explained what I dreamed, and turned out he had the same dream, but he was seeing what I was hearing, and we never got an explanation of it. I just wanted to share that if anybody else had a dream like this.
Okay. Well, thanks for putting that out there, man. If
It's a heavy one.
Anybody wants to call and chime in on that, please do so. But thank you, caller. Appreciate you calling in, man.
Alex, thank you, brother.
Have a good one.
Okay, let's keep it pushing. Anybody else want to call and ask, maybe share one of your experiences, share a story. Maybe it didn't happen to you or something was passed down to you from your family. Let's see, or discuss a movie. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Tony A. Caesar from Paris.
Caesar from Paris. How you doing tonight?
We're all right, Tony A. How are you doing, Afro?
Hey, Caesar, can't complain, brother.
Yeah, we will, but who's going to listen anyway? You know, I was listening to you guys on these newer movies, the CDS and whatnot. How about with the OG movies, man? We're talking about Chainsaw Massacre Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, 2's awesome. I love 2 with Dennis Hopper. That's the shit.
Right, with the guy with the hanger, burning the hanger and scratching at his scalp.
2's, yeah, I love that shit.
You know, he was doing that way before the tweakers ever would. But that was some real gory, right? That was some real gory stuff right there.
Yep.
And the cinematography as far as the camera on I believe it's number 1, where they try to have the old man, the dad, try to hit the girl with the hammer.
Yeah.
And how it just made her. You could almost feel that she was going insane at that point. At that point, you don't really see that in movies. Anymore.
And the one thing I think, one of the things I love the most about the OG Texas Chainsaw, like I said, was the cinematography and how old school and how grainy, and it gives it that creepy ass feel and that documentary feel. It makes it feel real and shit, you know. It adds to it, and the plot line and what's going on is already crazy, but that feel adds to it, you know.
Exactly. When they're in part 2, then when they're in the radio station and Leatherface peels off that guy's face, and then tries to talk to the girl with the guy's mask on.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy.
You don't really, you know. I really thought Rob Zombie went pretty close talking about his movies, but it really never really touched the integrity of these other movies that are old school, that are just phenomenal. I think they need to make remakes. They need to make another remake on the 13 Ghosts. I feel that has more stories into it than just that one. The movie did, you know.
You're absolutely right. I agree with you on 13 Ghosts, because when you rewatch 13 Ghosts, they give you the backstory, but there's so much that you can touch on. And I think there was even rumors that they were going to do a spinoff on the Ghosts as a series or a TV show through the years. I don't think that's still confirmed yet or confirmed nowadays, but they were toying with that idea. So I 100% agree that they need to make a spinoff movie or dwell more on those ghosts, or make a I would watch that shit. But yeah, man.
Yeah, right. The jackal, and the girl with the chichis, like you said. Also, the other guy with the screws. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the homie with the hammer and screws.
Thing. Right. That guy was no joke. We all got one of those big homies in the neighborhood. But you know what, Tony? What are your thoughts on this movie? Have you seen this? It's like he's like a clown, the Terrifier.
Terrifier.
Or that one I have not yet seen.
I saw them both. I saw 1 and 2.
Are they pretty good?
Now,
please
explain to Tony how this clown ties up this girl and saws her in half.
No, well, you're underwording it. He does way more than this. Dude saws her in half. This dude scalps her. He fucking cuts her up. He puts salt in the wound. Terrifier is one of those movies where it's a blood and guts movie, and 2, one, there's really no story to it, but 2, they tried to make a huge story about it, since the first one didn't have a big story.
Okay.
Now, the second one, they were trying to make the most grossest, bloodiest, goriest movie of all time. And on the blood and gore scale, I would give Terrifier 2 maybe a strong 9 out of 10. It's pretty brutal on the gore scale. Wow. Maybe it borders damn near to 10 sometimes, but as an overall, I'd give it a 9. The first one, there's only one real gruesome ass, brutal ass kill. That's when the girl's naked and she gets sawed in half by the fucking clown and shit, like vagina down. Like, it's an extremely brutal scene. But that's the only scene in the first one that goes to that depth. Like, the other ones are pretty brutal, but that's the most goriest one. The second one is trying to outdo the first one. Like, I'm trying to make this the bloodiest, goriest, craziest movie of all time. The director, you know. So I don't love the Terrifier films, but I'm a blood and guts guy. So at the same, I feel conflicted. It's like I'm supposed to love the movies, but the feel of them kind of throw me off a bit. But I will give a shout out the guy who plays the clown. I think his name's David Thornton. The guy does a good job playing the clown. Okay. Like he's good. He's actually really good. But everything else, I don't care too much for any other of the other characters. So
all good.
But that's just me, though. You know, that's just me.
I would take it. Yeah, I would take it, Tony, like you would be with me. This movie goes straight to the killing. I mean, it has no reason, no rhyme, no storyline. So I don't know if you would really like it if you just want to go straight to the guts, Tony, because it really is gory and no tiene chiste, pues.
Oh, okay,
but other than that, yeah, man, keep on going with the show. Afro, you're doing good, man. Like
Thank you, brother.
Sleep paralysis is off the chain.
Thank you, brother.
But
Thank you, brother.
Other than that, Other than that, man, love you guys, Tony. I'll see you later, man. I'll
Thank you,
talk
my
to you soon. Fuckless Pac-Man. Caesar from Paris, and you know I'm out.
Caesar,
right.
brother. See you later, Caesar, my brother.
All right, Caesar. Let's go. We got another call. Let's see who's going to call in and share. Ask. Here we go. Oh, shoot. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Caller.
This is fitting with the music right now.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Call. If you guys are going to call, please turn down your television. I don't want you guys to think that you guys can talk to me and watch because there's always a delay. So whoever's going to call in, please turn down your television. If not, we're just going to continue and wrap this up because we only got a few more minutes, okay? So here we go. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
What's up, Jason?
How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you, Tony?
Good, good.
Afro. Looking good out there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm working on it. Thank you.
Hey. All right, so I want to bring your attention to the Poltergeist movies, right?
All right,
You
Heather.
guys remember that?
Yeah, Heather O'Rourke. Yep. Or Heather Donahue.
Okay.
Wait, Heather Donahue? No, Heather O'Rourke. Yeah, Heather O'Rourke. Yep.
The
little girl.
Where they took out the tombstones and left the bodies in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indian Burial Ground. Yeah.
They did that out in Whittier, California at Founders Park. It's now known as Dead Man's Park.
Wow.
You can go there today.
Oh, Dead Man's Park. I've
It's
been
right
there.
off
I've been to
the
Dead Man's
Dead
Park. I've been to Dead Man's Park. Where did
Yeah,
you? I don't.
and-
yeah.
There's only one small gravestone left, but they removed all the other gravestones, left some of the bodies in the ground, and I used to live on that block, and that block is so haunted. It's crazy.
Well, you said you're in Whittier, right?
Well, right now I'm in Valverde, but yeah, Dead Man's Park in Whittier.
So Whittier is a crazy activity place, man. I have one of my freakiest spiritual experiences was in King. I'm trying to remember the antique shop. It's in Whittier. It's a creepy ass antique shop called King's. There you go. I've been there, bro. That's one of the freakiest places I've ever been to in my life. You go into the building, you can immediately feel the energy, and there's an upstairs and a downstairs. It's a huge. It's like it looks small from the outside, but it's pretty sizable in the inside. So as soon as you walk through the door, you feel it. But when you start going to the upstairs and downstairs, bro, I've seen things, I've felt things in that fucking store, and I'm not the only one. I had homies with me. So there's a lot, and the employees, I don't want to put them on blast. They're not supposed to tell you that it's haunted. They're like, because it's people get freaked out. So I was trying to be quiet with it. I was just kind of seeing what's going down. And one of the homies, he was like, "Yo, yeah, it's pretty fucking haunted, bro." He's one working there. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty haunted, bro. Like, it's pretty creepy at work in here."
And it's called King what?
What is it again, Jason? King something antique shop.
King Richard's Antique Shop.
King
It's
Richard's
right
Antique
off
Shop.
of Whittier Boulevard.
Yeah,
It's right off Whittier Boulevard and near Pickering. It's 5 Points right there in Whittier.
I've been there twice, and it was freaky each time. And so the homie who was working there, he there's this clearance spot with this big ass gate in the antique shop. He lets us go in. He's like, "Yo," he's like, and I'm not saying his name, so he'll be straight. But he lets us go in there for a little bit. He's like, "Yo, I see you guys kind of looking around, seeing what's going down." He's like, "Here, I'll give you 5 minutes. You go inside the clearance room, check out what you want." So we go in there, me and my three or four homies, we're just checking it out. And this place also has Annabelle pictures laying around and shit too. I don't want to jumble everything together, but my homie had an Annabelle experience that was creepy in the antique shop. Wow. So from my experience, we're going in the clearance spot and we're checking this out, and they have big ass Santa, like mechanical, like Santa, not mechanical, Santa nutcrackers, but like life sized. They're life sized. So the Santas, they're like 3 or 2 of them, and they look fucking creepy. These dudes look old. They look like dusty, creepy as shit. I'm talking maybe 30, maybe 40 years old looking. So we're scoping it out, and we're like, okay, it's creepy. We go back out. The homie locks it up, and my boy is looking at one of the Santas, and he's freaked out. I'm like, "Yo, what are you seeing?" I look at the Santa, and I know this looks stupid or it sounds stupid, the live chat, whoever's watching. I'm not joking. This Santa went like this. Just like that. And I'm like, is it mechanical? Is it powered? There was nothing plugged up or anything with that fucking Santa. So me and my boy saw it. As soon as the fucking Santa moved like that, me and my boy looked at each other like this, like, did you? And he was like, he finished my saying. He's like, I saw that shit too, bro.
Wow.
And we got like, we started racing. That was one of the things we were like, let's get the fuck out of here. And that was that was the second time I went there. I was like, that's it for me. So my boy in the antique shop, his Annabelle encounter, there's a doll there, and it's like a replica probably. It's probably a copy. That's what I'm thinking, you know? And I'm sure it's a copy or a replica. The Annabelle is sitting there, and they also have paintings and shit of the Annabelle. So they have the doll and the paintings. So my boy, he's in this cubicle, and he's like, yo, okay, this Annabelle's here. He goes to another cubicle, and he's like, yo, why is the Annabelle here? I'm like, yo, that's impossible. There's probably two of them. I'm like, yo, I tell my other homie, go check the other cubicle because there's probably two. There was only one Annabelle doll.
Really?
There was only one fucking Annabelle doll. So I'm like, how the fuck did that Annabelle doll get to the other cubicle? So that was my boy's experience. And when we're leaving the shop, because I'm like declaring I'm never coming to this fucking place ever again after how freaky it got.
Right.
This is like probably top 2 freakiest experiences for me. So the antique shop. So the Annabelle painting, it's like it was like mocking us or joking. And I'm sure it's probably the placement of the store. The Annabelle's like, have a nice time, see you back. That's what it says on the painting. And it has like that creepy ass smile. And my boy literally starts hyperventilating. He's like, let's get the fuck out of here. And I was like, yeah, so that Whittier shop, King Richard's antique shop, is fucking horrifying. And the feeling you get when you walk around, there is insane. And last thing, I'll wrap it up because I know I've been talking about it a lot. It's just because I had experience there. So if I'm correct, it was an old soda pop factory in the 60s or 70s, and a couple workers got killed. There was a huge accident. There was a huge accident in the factory before it was an antique shop, and a couple people got killed during the process of the working and shit. So, yeah, you be the judge.
Thank you, caller, man. Appreciate you, man.
But yeah, that shit happened, bro.
Okay. Thank you, man.
I don't fuck with King Richard's antique shop.
Let's go. All right, we're going to take maybe 2 more phone calls, and then we'll call it a night. Let's go. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Tony. What's up, Afro? This is Jay from the Bay Area.
How are you, brother?
Good, man. I'm loving you guys' teamwork, the coverage of all the classic films, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Afro, dope. You got a lot of knowledge.
Oh, thank you, bro. Yo, I'm a nerd, man. Like, ever since I was like, the earliest I can remember was 4 or 5 years old, just, glued to these fucking movies, man.
Yeah, definitely. There's 2 movies that I want to ask you and Tony about that you didn't cover. One is the 1978 remake. It's based here in the Bay Area in San Francisco with an invasion of the body snatchers.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
And the second one is Halloween Part 2. I know everybody calls that the worst out of all the Halloween.
I like to.
Over time, I liked it.
I like
when I first watched it as a kid, I hated it because it didn't have Michael Myers, so I didn't give it the time of day. But as I watch it now when I'm older, I actually like it.
I like to. I like the showdown at the hospital at the end, and I think it's fun. I think it's a cool finale, and I like how like Michael's walking around with the flames on him and shit. I have a fun time.
Actually, I'm sorry. I meant
3. Season of the Witch. I like that one too.
Yeah.
People hated 3 because Michael's not in it. Like the whole point is called Halloween, Correct. But Michael's not in it. But to give the movie credit, if you watch a trailer, they don't really market it as Michael besides Halloween. So there's no mention of like Michael or anything. Right. They're not tricking you. Halloween Ends. The reason why it sucked was because they marketed it as Laurie versus Michael. This is the final finale. This is Laurie versus Michael. They're gonna kill each other to the death. But the movie is about this new guy named Corey who comes out of nowhere, and he's the new Michael. Then he's tag teaming with Michael, killing people. He's supposed to be the new Michael. And this is spoilers, but the movie sucks. I don't recommend it to anybody. But at the end, then the fucking Corey guy gets killed, and then Michael is Michael again for the last 5 minutes of the movie, and that's the showdown for 2 minutes, and then that's the end. And then I don't want to spoil how Michael dies, but yeah, it's the reason why I like my point was the reason I like Season of the Witch was because they didn't market it as really like a Michael film besides the title or the name. It was, they were focused on the creepy ass town and what's going on and the, you know, and shit like that.
Right,
So
right.
I really like Season of the Witch.
Okay, for me, really quick before we get into the Body Snatchers, obviously part 1, you know, Halloween
Was the
it's the classic.
superior. Yeah, it's the
I
classic.
really enjoyed part 2. 2 things that I didn't like, if I had to nitpick, because in the first one, Donald Pleasance shoots Michael Myers and he dies. But then he gets up, takes off. Okay, that was a long ass night. Then in part 2, it's still early.
Takes right off and picks right back up. Yeah.
But there's still kids out there trick or treating. They made it seem like it was back to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock again, and I'm like, okay, that's about the only thing. But at the very end, I just didn't like Mr. Sandman.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
I was like,
I can see
what
that.
the hell? That was about the only thing. But I enjoyed the movie.
We're a musical choice. Yeah.
Season of the Witch, I'm going to tell you why I liked it. Because I didn't see it as part as the Michael Myers series. They should have just called it something else, and I probably would have still watched it and enjoyed it.
I agree with that. They should have named it a whole different like title. Season of the Witch. Just call it that.
Yeah, exactly. But since they tie it into the series, you're thinking you're going to see the man with the white mask, as my grandbabies call it. You know, but yeah. So after that was cool. But now Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I really enjoyed that one. And I think what's his name?
Donald Sutherland.
Donald. I was going to say Kiefer.
Awesome performance. Awesome. Kiefer's dad. Yeah. Kiefer's pops.
I really enjoyed that one, and maybe in the future we'll cover that one, but I really enjoyed that one.
The last shot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers where he gets taken and he's like, ah! Like that shot is horrifying. Like that shot freaked me out as a kid. Like his eyes are rolled back in his head and he's like, ah! Like that shit is freaky. That's some creepy shit.
I would like to ask Donald, how many times did he do that scene?
Hopefully not too much. That looks insane. Yeah. Look natural.
All right, caller. Did that answer your question, my bro?
Thank you, guys. Oh, yes, thank you, man. It was awesome to have another Freaky Tales episode, and Afro, you did a hell of a job.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for tuning in, man.
Hell yeah. Okay, let's keep it going. We got one more call, and then that's it. So who's going to make the last call? If not, we'll just end the show with some shout-outs. So let's see. Here we go. Caller, your name, where you calling from? You're the last caller.
Yeah, you know, what's a freaky tale?
What's good?
Tag.
I don't know. He hung up. Okay, let's go. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
What up, Tony? Jose from Yuma, Arizona.
Jose from Yuma. You're the last caller tonight.
Yo. Oh, awesome, man. Thank you. Hey, man, I got a little gem for you guys right here. It's called Beelzebub or Beelzebub, something like that. Beelzebub, I believe. And I think you could find it on Amazon or, Amazon Prime. So this movie is a Mexican-American movie that takes place in Mexicali, Baja California. And it's about a detective, and he's investigating different homicides all over the city. And in some way, somehow, it leads to. So this detective, the movie starts off where his wife is at the hospital, and he's having his first baby, and this possessed nurse, and this is actually based on true events. It happened in Mexicali. So this nurse is possessed, and she gets into the room where all the babies are at, and starts stabbing all the babies.
Oh shit!
And it's this evil, like this spirit or entity that keeps jumping onto different people, and this is I don't know what you call it, this some John, what do you call it, Constantine type of guy that he's trying to stop that Antichrist. They call it the Antichrist, right?
So the name of this movie, you said it's called Beelzebub?
Beelzebub, yeah.
Okay, Beelzebub.
Look it up, man. It's a great movie, man.
I'm gonna look it up.
You gotta watch it, and it takes place in Mexicali, and it's based on true events.
Okay,
it actually happened.
I'm gonna add it to my watch list. I'm put it on my watch list.
The crazy thing, man, is that there's tunnels in Mexicali, all over Mexicali. There's tunnels that were made during the Chinese, when all the immigrants came from China. They built all these tunnels, and down there's a bunch of like
crazy ass shit. Yeah.
brujeria, like statues, santeria, all kinds of stuff, like down there, all kinds of murders. But the movie also takes you into the tunnels, and it shows you the tunnels too.
Okay.
No,
That's a great movie, man.
I'm gonna check it out.
That's a gem right there. That's like,
where did you
one of those gems right there.
when was the last? Did you see it on a platform or did you see it on DVD? Like, what did you see it on?
Oh no, I saw it on. Yes, it's Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah, you said that. My bad. Yeah, Amazon Prime. Okay, I got Prime.
Man, it's a great movie, man.
I'll check it out.
It has a little bit of everything. It has action. It has mystery, horror, gory, everything, man.
Nice.
Everything. It's in one movie. It's awesome. It has cartels. I mean, it has everything. All in one movie. Great movie.
Definitely
Thank
check
you,
it
brother.
out.
I'll check. Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna peep that.
Highly recommend it, guys. Thank you guys for your show today. I was looking forward today. Thank you guys.
Thank you for tuning in, bro.
Yes.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Today with some popcorn.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, there we go. That was the last caller. All righty then. Let me see. We should be good. Beelzebub. Okay.
That shit sounded crazy. That was a damn. He got me on the plot summary right there.
Yes. Okay. We could take these off now. All right. Afro, I want to thank you for coming and being a part of the show, being a guest. I really admire your knowledge when it comes to movies. It's not every day I get to talk movies. I love movies, all kinds of movies, especially horror movies. And you're so knowledgeable, and I want to thank you once again for coming and being our guest. Hopefully one day in the future we could do a part 2 or something like that whenever you would have time.
Love to. I had a blast. This was fucking awesome. Like I love nerding out and just being able to really talk about the love I have for these movies and shit too. So I feel happy doing that too. So thank you, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Next time we'll have some pizza here as well, so that we can eat while we chew and talk. So, but other than that, any shout outs or anything you want to mention to the people before we head on out?
Yeah, real quick, besides the shows coming up, be on the lookout for the EP Aphrodisiac. I'm aiming for sometime next month. I don't have a release date on that one either because it's so fast trying to get it out for the peeps or the planning for it. But be on the lookout next month. Yeah, some new fro music, new material.
Awesome. Other than that, once again, I want to give a shout out to everyone who was on the live, everybody who decided to subscribe, like, comment, shared, disliked. Doesn't matter. You guys still watched. But once again, I want to thank all the callers that called in. You guys are the ones that make this show happen. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. So once again, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be sitting here. So much love and respect to every single one of you guys. Once again, I want to thank my team. Norbert, you guys watch him on News with Norbies, and also Alex Cervantes Enterprise, also my son B Scallons for helping me promote this, and the Hip Hop Jedi. And Saturday I will be at the To Live and Die in LA event. I will be podcasting live. This is my second year. Hopefully we do another one. The reason why I say another one next year, To Live and Die in LA, this is an event that happens once a year. Okay. It happens in I believe it's in the Boyle Heights area. The Boyle Heights area, yeah. And I've been talking to Frankie Orozco. If you guys didn't see, I interviewed him and a couple of Little Draws and another group called Desmadre. The other day on my other podcast, I interviewed them because they're going to be there performing along with Reverie, Joey Quinones, and Nate No Face. I've been talking to Frankie Orozco because I want to be in charge of the rap lineup for next year's To Live and Die in LA. So hopefully he agrees. He said yes, but we're still a year away and this one still needs to happen. But if I do, I'm going to hopefully be in contact with Afro, come and perform at the To Live and Die in LA.
I would love to.
Yes. So, okay, you guys. So once again, thank you guys. And once again, much love and respect to Afro and my brother right here.
Oh, my brother Prospect right here. Shout out MC Prospect. This is my good brother right here. Yes, sir. Check him out. Check his music out. We out of here. See you guys live Saturday for about 8 hours. And real quick, if you're a movie lover, anybody movie lovers tune in. If you're a nerd like me, I review movies too. I usually do it just because it's stress relief and it's fun. But check it out. Fro Thizzle Reviews. Fro THIZZLE Reviews. Thank you. That's it for me.
Check it out. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Check it out. We're out of here. Thank you.